of any nature, particularly in technical analysis, is to see the math. Because if you see the math, then you try to understand, reverse engineer what was the underlying logic of the person who constructed it. And then you can also deconstruct it to see what are its limitations and advantages. There is no such thing as perfect indicator. There is no such thing as perfect trading system. These are myths. So let's look at the MACD very quickly. It's a very simple formula. Basically, you take a short moving exponential moving average minus a long moving average, and the signal line is the moving average of that. And then the histogram is basically that minus that. So you have the market, one moving average, second moving average. The difference between these is the MACD. So why does Gerald Appel constructed that? Because of a very basic property. Because as the market, for example, increases, you have two moving averages. The shorter time frame one will react faster than the longer one, so the spread between the two moving averages will increase. So when it increases, it means that there is upside momentum. When it decreases, that things are slowing down, because the market, for example, can be going in a sideways motion, the slow moving average flattening out, the long term catching up, so the spread will decrease. So it measures momentum. Now, there is a ways how to measure trend and other stuff as well with it, but let's stay with the basics now. Okay, what are the limitations? So these are the fundamentals of it. Some people use it for signal generation and so on and so forth, but if you backtest it, it doesn't work well in that respect. There are other ways to use it, but let's see its limitation. First limitation. Now, this is the S&P 500. Again, I've taken to take full history. Where's the data? Full history. So here's the data from 1957 to 1971. What I did is I recorded the values of the MACD indicator. The maximum was 1.56 and the minimum was minus 3.3. What I wanted to do is see the oscillations of the indicator. From 2019 and onwards, it starts jumping. So the maximum was 86, the minimum was minus 225. Why did this happen? Well, the reason it happened is because the indicator is an absolute price indicator. You have one moving average minus a different moving averages. But these refer to an underlying value, the S&P 500. So if the S&P 500 starts climbing up, you have one minus the other one, which depend on an ever-increasing value. So the absolute value will always be increasing. Because, for example, if you take the MACD on an index which is 100 points, moving average, for example, let me go to the, again, by myself sometime, by Antonis is helping out. All right, so very quickly. So if a market is trending up and give it a value of 100, the short-term moving average, let's say it's 90. The long-term moving average is 80. So the MACD would be 90 minus 80, will have a value of 20. So let's take the exact same example, and the index has a value of 1,000. This has a value of 900, this value of 900. How much is the MACD here? 100. All right, okay. So this is 980, 10. Yeah. All right, so 10 and 100. Now, this does not mean that it has more momentum than this. So the MACD is larger here than this as a function of the absolute price it is comparing. Is everyone okay with it? So that's the first limitation that the MACD has. It is, and that's why the indicator started going crazy here, while it's not, because here the S&P 500 was trading around 100 points. Now it reached more than, at the time of study, more than 4,500. So it was just a bigger price. It didn't mean it had more momentum. So that's the first limitation. The second limitation is by my clicker.
Battery.
No, it's just, there you go. So the first limitation is it's not stable across time. The second limitation, since it's a function of the first one, if you have two markets which have completely different prices. So for example, the S&P 500 was almost 4,500 at the time of writing of the paper, and the euro had 1 point whatever. But the thing is, so if you compare the MACD on an item, on a market which is 4,500, one which is 1, you'll see you get different completely readings. Because as you mentioned, it's an absolute price indicator, which means the readings of the MACD from one market to the other is not comparable. So you can't say, okay, this MACD is this, the other market is that, so this has more moment than the other one. So the MACD is not stable across securities. So that's the second reading. Second limitation is, again, since it's not stable across securities and time, you cannot have objective overbought and oversold signals like we have with the RSI. Basically, you cannot do a momentum life cycle model. The fourth limitation is that it's signal line accuracy. Because it's a trend following indicator, what's the basis of trend following indicators or strategies? The market goes up, we buy. The market goes down, we sell. The problem with that is they have a lot of whipsaws. Trend following, for example, like CTAs, although they're profitable, but they're profitable in a way which means they have a lot of losing trades, but the ones that do get very profitable, they go on a lot of way. So, but they're not very accurate. The same thing here, it's a trend following indicator. So you probably get like 35-40% of trades correct at best. So signal line accuracy is not very good. And the fifth limitation is sometimes the signal line is very late, because if the market has a lot of momentum to the downside, the signal line and the MACD will diverge, and by the time it catches up, a lot of time will have elapsed. Here is a chart of the FTSE, if I remember correctly. Market had a crash, the MACD gave a very low reading, the market rebounded, but up until the moving averages caught up, it had elapsed almost an 8% rally. So we can try to fix all of these. Signal line timing. So accuracy, timing, being transferred against securities across time, and having momentum life cycle model.